Paul Harrell, weekdays from 4 to 6. Learn more at paulharrell.com.
From the Benton County Tea Party, we've got Mr. Mike Clifford is on the program for the first time. Mike, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thank you very much for having me. Thanks for this opportunity.
Absolutely. We got the Benton County Tea Party logo up there, and Mike, I've gotten to talk to you just a little bit, over the phone, in preparation for this interview. But just tell us a little bit about how you got involved with the Benton County Tea Party.
Well, I wanted more freedom and more liberty, and I thought that the Benton County Tea Party was a place to start since politics are all local. And that's how I got involved with it.
Yeah. What about the results so far? As far as I want more freedom and liberty too, but I think it seems like we always got to work harder for it, right?
We do. We always have to work harder for it. But it's something that we need to continue to fight for. I mean, if we don't, we're going to continue to lose it. Mm-hmm. And so, we have a class coming up here, the 23rd day of September, on the history of the U.S. Constitution.
Yeah. Tell us about that.
I'd like everybody to attend it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where's it going to be? And you say it's in September. And what kind of? Because I talked to you about it. This class on the Constitution doesn't seem like it's going to be your average class on the Constitution. It
is not going to be the average class. It's being presented by Mr. Michael Gaddy. It's September 23rd at the Western Sizzler here in Springdale. The class is from 12 o'clock noon to 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It is sponsored by the Arkan Sons and Daughters for Liberty. They're the ones who were instrumental in putting this class together. You can come early at 11 o'clock to meet other class attendees. It's comprised of 4 50-minute sections with 10-minute breaks in between.
Wow. Okay.
It's specifically on the Constitution and specifically the Bill of Rights.
So, what would you say is going to be different from this Constitution class versus maybe another one that somebody's been to?
Okay. Mr. Gaddy has spent a great deal of time reviewing original documents. He has gone to the Library of Congress, the National Archives, the Smithsonian, and numerous other museums and libraries to read the original documents. He will give you information and tell you where you can go and look at the documents yourself and make up your own mind. He wants you to challenge him. Mm-hmm. He does not want you to take for granted what he's saying, but it's going to be different than what you learned in school. It is based on the original documents and not the script written by the people who were the victors. Mm-hmm. As history has shown, the victors get to write the history. In this case, it's not 100% correct.
In what way? In what way?
Well, I believe you'll gain new insights in the original thoughts that drove the cause for the liberty and how those thoughts changed and were eventually written and what we know today.
I mean, I've heard. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, this will be a thought-provoking presentation. It could well change opinions regarding the constitutions.
Yeah. Well, I mean, specifically, Mike, we're talking Mike Clifford from the Benton County Tea Party. I mean, I've heard, if you ask my, my parents' generation or my grandparents' generation, why did we fight the Revolutionary War? Why did we write the Declaration of Independence? They were taught it was more about religious freedom than it was about what I was taught, which was it was just about taxation without representation. It's is it something like that to where they have kind of rewritten one's an economic argument, and so because of that we only look at whether or not the country's doing good from an economic lens now versus the maybe more the real reason we did what we did.
Okay, when we originally started the revolution, we passed the Articles of Confederation.
Yes.
And those were designed more that the states had the rights and the federal government did not have the rights. The federal government was secondarily to the states. When we started writing the Constitution, we were supposed to have just amended the Articles of Confederation. But the Federalists changed the Constitution, and so now we have a nationalist government instead of a federalist government. They were totally misconstrued the idea when they were called the Federalists, because they really wanted a nationalist government, and that's what we have today because of that. And that's what this presentation is all about and why we have the Bill of Rights today. Without the Anti-Federalists, we would not have even had the Bill of Rights. We would not have had our First Amendment.
Yeah.
You can believe that.
Well, I'm certainly glad for the Bill of Rights. I'll tell you that much.
Oh, but I agree. Without the Bill of Rights, we'd be sunk. Absolutely sunk.
Oh, man. Yeah, I mean, just think about it.
So,
I mean, how the Bill of Rights still, I mean, we get little tiny victories now, here and there. One of the most recent ones in Arkansas was when the Arkansas Game and Fish, they got ruled against and said they're just like any law enforcement agency because of the Fourth Amendment. And if they want to search somebody, they got to have probable cause. The Arkansas Game and Fish still hasn't really accepted that in many ways. They still haven't recovered from it, the blow to their ego. But they are, just like any other law enforcement agency, in terms of when it comes to what they can do to you. And, I mean, that's what the court has ruled. So people need to remember that. So, Mike, let me get your opinion on something. What do you think about everything that's going on today? I mean, what do you think about you can talk about state politics if you want. I certainly focus on that. But you can talk about what's happened nationally. What's your feeling?
Well, in the state politics, I'm very disappointed with Asa. He tells us we do not have a spending problem, we have a revenue problem. And I go, wait a minute, we spend 148% more than the surrounding states per capita than the surrounding states. How can we not have a spending problem? I mean, that's 48 cents more for every dollar that we spend per capita on our government than the surrounding states that touch Arkansas. Mm-hmm. That's my big issue in the state of Arkansas. These people that are out protesting and taking down the Confederate flag, the Confederate statues, there was a law passed in '58 that made all U.S. all Civil War veterans, on both sides, are U.S. veterans. So when we take down that statue, we're taking down a U.S. veteran memorial.
Yeah,
and people aren't aware of that.
Did you see where they burned a statue of Abraham Lincoln? Where it's just like they thought. At this point, it's kind of like, oh, look, there's a statue of a white guy. He must have been a racist.
Wow.
They don't even know. They don't even know. He's the guy responsible for the emancipation. History records. He's, and yet let's burn that guy. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, Emancipation Proclamation only freed the slaves in the rebellious states. It did not free the slaves in the northern states. Were you aware of that?
I was not aware of that, but I doubt that that's the reason that they're burning statue of Abraham.
I agree. I agree. I don't think that has anything to do with it.
So what are we messing with here? What's our challenge? Because when I see Mike, those Durham, North Carolina, when I see them pull that Confederate statue down and then beat it up. The inanimate object, They beat it up, they spit on it, they flip it off like it actually has feelings. I'm thinking, I don't think I'm dealing with people who are connected to reality.
Well, I don't think they understand what the First Amendment says. It doesn't mean I have to agree with everything you say, but you have the right to say it, and I have the right to say what I believe. That's what I think they're missing first and foremost, is the freedom of speech. And instead of having they should just ignore it if they don't believe it, or debate it, or change the law so that you can't do it. But you cannot just suppress freedom of speech. That's our First Amendment right. And it was the most important amendment that our founding fathers thought about, was First Amendment.
Yeah, well, I would agree with that. I'm not so sure that they understand what that is either. We're
I don't either.
They want to ban offensive speech.
When they protest these people coming onto campus to give speeches, they are just literally doing away with the First Amendment right. Mm-hmm. That to me is very, very, very frustrating.
What if they start coming after, what they could say are religious statues, or what if all of a sudden a historic church triggers them and makes them feel judged in some way? Where does it stop? And I think Donald Trump did the right thing when he said. When he talked about the Washington Monument and the Jefferson Memorial and how we got to take those down if we continue with this.
I agree with President Trump on that. Where do you stop? Once you start with this, where do you? I don't know where you stop. As he said, Jefferson and Washington both were slave owners, and they were. It's a proven fact. It's a known fact that that's the case. But they also, when you stop and think about what all they've done for us, as a country, you surely have to hold them in high regard, revere them. But that's not the case. I don't know where it's going to stop. It concerns me because I don't think they understand the basic rights of the American that we have in America.
Yeah, I think you're right. Mike, appreciate you coming on the program. Hey, tell us one more time, where can people go if they're in the Benton County area, they want to come to this class on the Constitution? What date, what time, where is it again?
It's September 23rd. It's a Saturday at the Western Sizzler in Springdale. It's 3492 West Sunset, and it's from 12 until 4. They can come early and have lunch at
All
1
right.
o'clock.
Okay. Mike, I appreciate it, sir. Thanks so much. It's nice to meet you. I'd love to do it again sometime.
Paul, thanks for the time.
All righty. Thank you. Folks, it is Johnny Cash Friday. I am